Morning, folks. I'm Dave Canterbury with Reliance Outfitters in the Pathfinder School. And what I wanted to do today was I'm out here at the wall tent where I've got a hunting camp set up. And I've got the Woodsman's Pantry and Woodsman's Pantry Plus out, kind of a junk on the bunk situation here. And what I want to do with you guys, and I've talked to the guys at SRO on our team, and what we're going to do is we're going to, every Thursday, I'm going to try to drop a video. And that video on Thursday will feature some product that we carry. In this case, the Woodsman's Pantry Plus. And we'll talk about the history of that, how it was developed. We'll talk about, where it falls into play for your outdoor activities. We'll use this thing in the video. And then on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, the product will be discounted on our website by 10% for the entire weekend. And that will follow into Monday, always pending stock. So you have to realize things like this Woodsman's Pantry and Pantry Plus are kits that are assembled by people in our warehouse. And they're not assembled as they're picked. So if they get an order for one, they don't just go pick all the parts and make the kit and throw it in a box. That takes time. So the kits are made ahead of time and they're boxed. So that our pick and pack guys in the warehouse can just grab a Pantry Plus, throw it in a box, because they're packing a couple hundred orders a day many times. So they've got to speed things up and be as lean as they can in the pick and pack process in the warehouse. So depending on how many kits we have built up, you may see them out of stock by Saturday, depending on how many of them are sold from Friday, into Saturday. However, that doesn't mean they might not be right back in stock on Monday afternoon or Tuesday, because kits were built again. So it doesn't necessarily mean that we're out of stock on the item. It just means that we're out of stock on the build of the item at that point. Now, sometimes we may be out of stock on one of the components, and then it may be out of stock for a while. But in this case, we have components. We just have to build the kits. And we're going to build, I think, 150 kits up for the weekend of each one and get ready for that. So what I want to do, without further ado, is get into the Woodsman's Pantry and Pantry Plus and why it was developed. Okay, I'm going to put a photograph of an illustration on this video for you guys to see, and I'll put it right here. And it's from an old 1940s woodcraft and camping style book. And it shows a pack basket and all the components of that pack basket that a guy was carrying, probably in the Adirondack area, because that's where those pack baskets are really popular. But in one of those illustrations, it shows a long canvas style bag with tins inside that bag of food sundries that he would carry into a camp or on the trail with him. And that's where the idea concept came for this Woodsman's Pantry. So when we're talking about the Woodsman's Pantry, we have a large canvas tube style bag here. And inside that bag, tins go in there stacked up, filled with different types of sundries that you would use to make different things on the trail. So instead of carrying a just add water meal or something like that, you're carrying food that you can make different things out of depending on the situation. You can make anything from a soup to a cold soak to baking with this kit if you set it up right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk through the Woodsman's Pantry and then the Pantry Plus with you guys and show you how I've set mine up, and we'll talk a little bit about that as we go. All right, so I guess the first thing to discuss is what comes in the kit. So the Woodsman's Pantry comes with 6 16-ounce tins that will all fit inside this bag very, very easily. And I'll show you kind of what that looks like, because it leaves you a lot of extra room in this bag if you just buy the Pantry, so that you could buy extra tins if you wanted to put in this bag for different types of sundries. So when you put these 6 tins in, these 6 16-ounce tins, you're about a little over half of the bag is what you've got, all right? But that gives you a lot of options. If you look at what I've got in here, the way I've got mine set up is I've got mine set up with a Pantry Plus, which we'll talk about in a second. But understand that if you're just using the Pantry, it's going to be set up a little different than the Pantry Plus, because what I did was the larger 16-ounce tins, I've put things in that I'm going to use lots of. Cornmeal, something I may use at several meals, because you can put about a week's worth of food in this pantry. But something I may use for several meals is going to go in a larger tin. And then these smaller tins are going to have things on them I won't use as much. I've got soup vegetables in here dehydrated. You can see inside here. The typical soup greens, soup vegetables I use in a lot of my stuff on camera, that's what's in here, okay? And so that can give me options to make soups or mix with potatoes, things like that if I want to. But I'm not going to use these at every meal, and I'm not going to need a lot of them because they're dehydrated, all right? Same thing with dehydrated milk. My condiments like salt, meat seasonings, brown sugar, those all go in the smaller tins. And then the larger tins have the things in them like the cornmeal, like rice, like dehydrated eggs, like my coffee, potatoes, dehydrated potatoes, and then regular flour. And that's just all-purpose flour. And then my smaller tins have the things in them I won't use as much. So if you're just going to run the pantry, then you've got these 6 tins and you have to decide what you want to put in them for what you're going to use more or less. If you've got the Pantry Plus, it also comes with this 48-ounce cup and lid. And what happens with that is these smaller tins sit down inside that flat, just like this. And you can put all of those inside with the lid on, drop that down into the bottom or put it on the top, whatever your choice is. And then you can put your other tins stacked on top of that inside the bag. And that will take you pretty close to the top of this bag. And you'll have this tube of food that will last you for about a week. Now, you need some meat to go with this stuff, obviously. And so what I do is I carry like a salt-cured piece of ham or a piece of salt-cured pork, and I just throw it in a canvas bag in my pack so that once I open it up, I have a bag that I can keep it in, and that gives me about a week's worth of food when it's all said and done. So again, your normal Woodsman's Pantry is going to have the bag. It's going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 16-ounce tins and the bag. That's what's going to be in the Woodsman's Pantry. The Pantry Plus is where you add in the 48-ounce cup and lid with another series of 5 smaller tins to put other condiments in. So all of that, minus the meat, is what's in this tube in a Pantry Plus. And then I add some meat with that to give myself a good week's worth of food, banking on the fact that I'm probably going to get something off the landscape, whether it be a squirrel, a rabbit, whatever the season may be. That meat is just in case I can't find any meat off the landscape. But this gives me everything else to put with that meat to make good meals. So we put the rice in here first because it's going to take the longest to cook. We're going to make a nice hearty soup today. But we've got to get the rice cooked first, because everything else is pretty much just dehydrated. It's going to go in here and it will cook much faster. Our rice is getting close. About 5 minutes away from addition to our soup here. Okay, now that our rice is looking good and plump, I'm going to put this lid on backwards. I'm going to strain some of the water off of this, off to the side. I needed more water in there in order to cook that rice up. And now we're down to about, measurement marker inside says 16 ounces. And now we're ready to add some other ingredients to this soup. All right, our next addition to the soup is going to be about a tablespoon or military spoon of these soup vegetables. We'll get them hydrated up. All right, so a lot of this boils down now to selectively moving heat where we need it. We don't really need a hard boil anymore. We're burnt down to coals. That's good. We're going to move those hot coals all to one side of this grill now to hydrate these vegetables and finish up our soup. All right, so our vegetables are getting close. They're not hydrated completely yet. They're getting close, so we got a couple more minutes. Just keep stirring that dude and keep it over the heat. We'll be ready to add our last couple ingredients pretty fast here. All right, potatoes. Now, we're gonna use this as a thickener, but we're not making mashed potatoes here, so we don't wanna get crazy with this. So again, we're gonna go with a tablespoon and a little bit more. And I'm calling this a tablespoon, this military spoon. It may be bigger than that, but I use it for all my measurements, so it's easy and consistent. And we'll mix those potatoes in there. See what happens. Hopefully we didn't pour too much water off of it. Again, we're not looking for mashed potatoes. We're looking for a soup here. So we're just using this for a thickening agent. Now that we've got that in there, we'll go ahead and take some of this meat seasoning that we've got. And we'll add a pinch of that meat seasoning in there. And this meat seasoning, what I call meat seasoning, is soul food seasoning is what it really is. I like the peppery cayenne and salt flavor of that really well. So I use it to season a lot of stuff with. Now we just got this thing over coal heat and we're ready to cut up some bacon that we cooked earlier and stick it in there as well. Look at that. Perfect. And it don't get no better than that. Get some of that in there and it's gonna be really good. Woo-wee. All right, that's exactly what we're looking for right there. We are in the money right now, this bad boy. Ready to serve it up. Man, oh man, look at that. Golly. All right, folks, there's really nothing left but the taste test. Give you a good up close of that one more time. Nice soup there. Sure looks good. Hot enough I got to wear a glove on the hand that's holding it though. Oh man, that is great. I mean, that's great. Man. Well, warm you right up on a cool day. Man. Man, oh man. Darn. That is fan-freaking-tastic. All right, guys. Just sitting and watching me eat. I'm gonna eat every bite of that and then some. I still got some more in the pot. So, quick ending to the video here and discussion. Like I said in the beginning, the Pantry and Pantry Plus will be on sale Friday, Saturday, Sunday through Monday on our website. There'll be a sale price listed on the website and the actual price, so you can see that it's on sale. Just for, the sake of, we're going to feature a product in a video on Thursdays. We're going to put it on sale over the weekend to give you guys a chance to get a discount on the product that we feature in our videos. Now, very simplistic soup, very filling, easy components, easy measurements. So as far as the cook fire goes, we used our folding grill rack over that fire, which is great for cooking on over some kind of a small fire pit. Now you saw that I put a reflector in front of that. And I got that idea from the large MC Ranch reflector that I haven't yet to do a review on. I plan on doing that through the winter course because we're going to use that to show how well that transfers heat back onto people sitting in front of a fire. And that's really what it was meant for, was around a group fire and things like that where you're around with your buddies and you want to stay warm. But I got to thinking, a reflector would be really cool even around a small campfire in smaller fashion that you could carry with you in a pack basket or a backpack to help reflect heat back onto your food and save firewood and also heat things up a little bit. And if you're sitting right in front of that, it's going to reflect some heat back on you as well. But it's a lot smaller scale. We happen to have a reflector that I got a sample of that we're going to carry in our store, and we got it so that we could use reflectors around our stoves and our ovens that we don't carry in the store now for our isobutane, alcohol, things like that. But I got to thinking about it, and I thought, if I put this in front of this grill rack, maybe it's going to cook a lot better, as well as blocking the wind in whatever direction I want to, but it's going to help that radiant heat come back and reflect back on whatever I'm cooking and save some energy with the fire at the same time. And it worked out really, really well. I just put 3 steaks in there in the end to make sure it didn't wobble around too much because it's lightweight aluminum, but it worked fantastic. So it's just another idea that was spawned from someone else's creation, basically, in much smaller scale that you can use as a woodsman if you're camping and you don't want to carry something that's as large as that MC Ranch reflector because you're not in a group camp setting. You're just by yourself camping in a tent or whatever. You want a small reflector just to kind of help you with your fire, maintain things, save a little firewood, transfer a little heat, and maybe cook your food a little bit better at the same time. Guys, listen, I appreciate your views. I appreciate your support. I thank you for everything you do for our school, for our family, for our business, all of our sponsors, instructors, affiliates, friends, and I'll be back with another video as soon as I can, guys. Thanks.